just making sure everybody's getting some content here. I'm just wandering around.
We love it. I'm here with Kristin Davis. We are here at the Truth About Cancer Live, Day 2 in Nashville, Tennessee, at the famous, beautiful Gaylord Opryland.
That's right.
This hotel's great. How has your weekend been so far? Why are you here?
I am here because the CEO of this event, Charlene Bollinger, is a friend of mine. She's a patriot, a devout Christian, and probably one of the kindest women I have ever met. And I wanted to come support her. I put together this media room.
This is great. Thank you. By the way, I would not be here if it were not for Kristin. She is the one who hooked me up, told me to come, told me about this whole conference. And I ordered a banner, and I'm so psyched to be here. This is really great.
This is great. And it's a good place to network. And I think if you want information that's uncensored, and that's why she does this. Charlene lost, I don't know if you saw her opening. She lost 6 of her family members to cancer.
God.
And it was at that time that her husband and her felt like, well, I just lost my dad. And I feel like it was from the chemo and the radiation, because these harmful chemical treatments eroded his liver and all these different things. And so he died from that, actually. How can we actually heal this? And so they just spent, a year dug deep into alternative treatments. Also how the medical facility, you get the diagnosis and then they force you to go to the hospital by fear. Like, you're going to die right now if you don't go into chemo tomorrow. And,
wow. Right. I think that's kind of what they did with my mom.
Right.
Like, she had a brain tumor and they were like, she got the surgery, and then they immediately were like, all right.
And
chemo.
they keep you.
Yeah.
So that you can't research and you can't make other decisions. And so they're just wanting to, one, their goal is to expose Big Pharma for the racket it is. And 2, provide alternatives, which is why I love this event so much, because it's not just like, hey, here's our problems, let's all
bitch
talk about them.
Or,
No, but here's actually solutions. And so there's vendors here that have life-altering treatments. So I think that's really helpful. And she also does that with, the Patriot movement. She's got Eric Trump.
Yeah, Eric Trump speaking today.
Yeah,
I'm going to try to live stream a little bit of that. If there's a good signal. Yeah, that's very exciting. And you're here with Roger and helping him do interviews and
Yeah, I represented Roger Stone for 14 years. Roger Stone, when I met him, I was the big star. He was not as big.
How did you meet him?
So I met him on a Sirius XM radio show on Sirius XM Patriot. Vinnie Politan, his show, and we did a panel about Elliot Spitzer, and I had just been arrested for providing Spitzer with call girls. And
I don't know, I know I've heard, I haven't really looked into that stuff. It's is it weird? I just I kind of don't care. I don't know.
It was 14 years ago, so it's, but most people are still fascinated by the sex industry, so they're like, oh my God, you used to do this. Yeah, I was like, what were you doing 14 years ago?
Oh,
Half
God.
the people were being drunk in college or whatever.
Yeah. What was I doing 14 years ago? So I was 22. Ugh. Yeah, I was doing improv and just giving hand jobs.
It was a blur,
It was a blur of hand jobs and improv. Yeah.
That's right. Oh, but you didn't work for me. You should have been working for me.
I should have. I floundered for many years before I found where I needed to be.
I had a happy ending massage studio. 2 of them actually in Manhattan.
Wow, that's cool. Anything for women? I will always on. There should always
there should be something for women, right? No, because there wasn't anywhere. So I was trying to do all kinds of different things when I was in business, like a man for man agency, a man for women agency, and there was just nowhere to advertise anything that wasn't sort of vanilla at that time. And I'm like, okay, I know there's a market here, but where do you even I started a man for women and a man for man. But the price points were so very, very low. And I'm like, okay, well, where do I find these clients? And I just couldn't find them. So I ended up just being like, that's not going to make me any money. That's too much work. Okay. So probably men would have been easier to deal with than the women that work for me.
Right. Every female boss I've ever had has just been kind of hellish to work for. Not to group them all together, but I don't know. We're getting off topic. Okay, cool. So you met Roger Stone, and it's amazing.
Roger Stone on a radio show, and he says to me afterwards, "I didn't think you'd be this smart." before I opened my agency, I was vice president of a hedge fund. So I have all this business background and college degrees. And I was like, he's like, what are you doing with your life? And I said, I have no idea. I just became a felon. I have no idea. I'm like a mess. And he's like, can I take you out to dinner and we can talk about your future?
Wow.
I was like, what is this old man going to tell me?
Yeah. You're like, I have a mentor now? What is happening?
So he took me to the 21 Club in New York.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
it's like
with all the little lantern
the
boys outside. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is a little too uppity for me. I'm not really into that sort of thing. And he lobbied me to run for office.
Wow.
And I said no for about a year. And then he finally won me over. And it was fascinating to me. In 2008, he was telling me what he was going to do in 2010.
Wow.
And he said, Kristin, I'm going to get you into the debates with all the candidates. I'm going to do this and that. And I'm like, how does he know he can do this? He's just selling me a pipe dream.
Yeah.
And in that time in New York, the candidates had not been included in the debates, all of them, for 16 years, 4 cycles. So I was like, there's no way he can pull this off. How's he going to do this? And he did it. He did all of it. And it was fascinating to watch him strategize. And I've been working for him ever since.
Wow. That seems like almost like, I don't know, like God was like, you're lost with your life. I'm going to sort of like connect you with the right people.
Yeah, and you know, I have worked hard to sort of rehabilitate my life to the degree where people are not so judgmental and, you know, do these sorts of things. And I've always been a libertarian.
Yeah.
On the conservative side of libertarianism.
You're really like well equipped to like kind of like work in this area, because this whole conference, it's all people who've been like censored for their political ideas, for their like, you know, medical ideas, like how cures, how to go about, right, like medical freedom, like it's all so intertwined.
And you know what's interesting? So I've been doing media for years. You know, before Trump, I could put myself, Roger, any of my people on CNN, and it would be fair. You start going forward, even into 2018.
That's when it started getting really bad.
It started to change. I couldn't really get anyone on anymore. I couldn't even get most people on Fox. Into 2020, now I can't get anyone on any of the liberal networks. I can't get most people on Fox because their message is very stringent. So it's like, okay,
but didn't Fox used to be like one? I remember, like, I don't know, it was like during Trump's time, people still were like, okay, Fox is like one of the good ones, but now.
I think during his time, because they were supporting him, but now that it's not his time, you know, the thing is, like, a lot of these networks don't want the lawsuits. Newsmax, they don't want the lawsuits. You talk about, you know, COVID, and now you're going against Big Pharma, COVID vaccine. Okay, we can't weather that, sustain that lawsuit. So most of them are just scared.
Wow. And then it takes like conferences like this where people can actually get together, get the truth, get real information, and not be afraid. You know, it's good. It's good to get out and like meet people, and not, you know, you can do your own research online, but it's something else to just like get it in person, hear these presentations, like, you know.
Some of them brought slideshows. I saw something the other day at lunch that was so disturbing about the COVID vaccine. I was like, can we talk about something positive? It was Dr. Carrie.
Madej?
Yes.
I think she's like speaking today, too.
She just spoke. But I had the opportunity to sit down at lunch with her, and she showed me the cells and the videos of the things
like
that she had found. And I was like, this is really, really, really disturbing. Like, it was a very depressing conversation that I left feeling a little down about. But it's good, because where else are you going to find this information?
Yeah. No, it's a big mob. It's a big like racket, you know. It's a big, like, once you realize it's a huge money-making industry, and it's like two drug dealers on each other's turf, even though I don't feel like people who are talking about vitamins and supplements are like drug dealers, but like that's how Big Pharma sees them. And it's like anything to discredit. I remember like very early on in the pandemic, I posted an Instagram story just about like herbs, and they like removed it. Like I was trying to like push COVID cures, and I was like, what? This is just like herbs that are good for general. And then that's when that was a big moment of like, oh wow, they're really like, they're coming for people.
I don't even post anything, but promotions for events and news hits that my people do. And I've been censored, and I'm like, all I'm posting is a flyer. Roger Stone going to be here.
Yeah.
So give me a moment.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Kristin. It's good to chat with her. I adore her. I met her for the first time today, but we've been like chatting all along. I actually almost bumped into her like January 6th. We were texting. She was like, "Oh, come hang at this thing," and like this thing at this hotel, and then like they wouldn't let. I was there with wrist flex, and they wouldn't let us in. But yeah, we like kept in touch, and she helped me. Like I wouldn't have interviewed Roger Stone if it weren't for her, so she helped me with that. That was pretty cool. And like Lainey Spicer too, who's one of the like sort of PR people that I became friends with through Compound Media. And Lainey works with a lot of porn stars. That's like how I was connected into that world a little bit. So it's great. It's just like it's great to meeting people. To meeting people. It's great to meet these people for the first time, especially when you've had so much back and forth. And you know what's so crazy is that I was supposed to do an interview with Cara Castronova. She works for Newsmax, and she's freaking right here. She's like right across the thing. And so hold on. People are taking a break right now, but there's Kristin, there's Roger's bodyguard, there's Roger, and he's interviewing right now with Cara Castronova from Newsmax. And I was just over there, and she's like, "Oh, I'll interview you." So that was cool. I did a little Newsmax interview. So I don't know when that'll air, or what part. We're just talking about like censorship and canceling and comedy. You know, all my subjects that I like to talk about. So that was pretty cool. Yes, she is gorgeous. I've read that a majority of women prefer to have a male boss. I mean, now I'm at the point where I want to be my own boss. I don't want any bosses. Thank you very much. But yeah, I have generally had better experiences with male bosses. I think it's just like you kind of stay out of each other's way a little bit more. You know, there's like just a little bit more of like a healthy distance. I think women, because of our like nature to get close, I think when you have two women together, it's too much. It's like I think you end up becoming too much in each other's business, which can only be bad in a job setting. Hi guys, I know I'm going live a lot today. This is good. Everyone has folded. Commodore 64 is my weapon. Have you flashed anyone yet today? No, but the day's not over yet. My gym did a charity even to raise funds for Cove, and it was flagged as mainstream for trying to share it. It's like, so you're not raising funds for Cove? It's funny. Okay, cool. So Roger Stone's with Newsmax right now. I'm just biding some time because I think he might come over here next. If he doesn't, then I'll shut it down and go get some more coffee. I actually only really just came in here to get something from my bag, but then I saw that Roger was here, and I'm like, oh shit, because I recognized his bodyguard first. The tall glass of water. Where'd he go? He's gotta watch. I tried to call him over to be on the pod, but he's gotta do his job, which is bodyguarding. I want to pick the camera at him. Can you guys see him? He's tall. He's back there. All right. Just, I like to talk to everybody, not just the high-profile peeps. I like to talk to the bodyguards and the people who set up the coffee. I was talking for a while for a guy who was, like, in the kitchen, and I was, like, begging him for hot water because I really wanted some tea. And, yeah, nice guy. Marie! Who else did I meet? I met a guy from NPR. Gave him my card. I don't know if he'll be interested in me. Maybe I'm too small potatoes, but I was telling him that I had a day job years ago that was like right next to the NPR offices down on Varick Street in Manhattan. And he's from like out here. I don't know why I assume if I meet anybody from NPR, I'm like, oh, you must be from New York City. Hello and welcome to NPR. And he was wearing a mask. I was like, people who are like here wearing masks, they stick out like a sore freaking thumb. It's like, you're always sus of somebody in a mask, especially at a convention like this when people are like with it, Okay. Oh, Angela Stanton King is here, and she's at the Christian table right now. I don't know if you can see. It's cool, right? Yeah. She's talking shit about Joe Biden. It's pretty cool. Let's talk about something that needs to be talking about, and that's my hair. It's getting really long, like too long. Like I am so due for a haircut. Like this is too much. This is too much hair. This is like I'm getting into Hermione Granger territory. So I was trying to get a haircut before I came here because I also have like a little bit of like roots coming in, but I didn't have time. So I'm here with my bushy ass hair. I think this is the longest it's ever been. But I've been taking like hair, skin, and nail vitamins. So I think that's been helping. So I've made some friends here. At first I like walk in and I'm like, ugh, everyone hates me. I don't know. These people don't like me. I don't fit in. Like that's my default. And then eventually everybody's like, oh my God, I love you. You're great. How do I deal with the mane? I put it up at night when I'm sleeping, like a bun or a ponytail. And this really, like, I washed my hair Thursday night. Went to bed with it in a braid, and it's still like maintained its curl. Whatever. I brush it out, and then it gets real poofy. I mean, I woke up late today, and then I spilled perfume on my dress, so I had to change, which is why I'm wearing this outfit. Hi. It is a hassle to look after. It takes a long time to brush after the shower. That's why I got to make sure I deep condition. And I actually brush it out with like a boar bristle. It's like boar bristles and other kinds of bristles. It's like multi-bristles. Oh my God, is he going to come over here? Come over here. I was talking to the guy from Conservative Television of America. Yeah, they were hitting me up. This guy, where did I put his card? Did I throw it away? I'm very just skeptical of anybody who wants to like work with me. Isn't that bad that I've gotten to this point? So this guy, Conservative Television of America, his name is Claude. He wants to shoot a comedy special with me in Atlanta. They're starting up this new, I guess, TV station. And they want to do comedy. So it might be like an Odyssey or like a Rumble where it's another platform to have your content on. So I might work with them in that capacity. But I mean, I wonder if that would be interesting to just be like, oh, I'm going to shoot a special in Atlanta and it just lives on this TV thing. I don't know. I'm going to see. I'm skeptical of people who are like not comedy people who want to produce comedy. Because I was like, I know how this is going to go. I don't mean to sound like skeptical and shitty, but we'll see. I have his card. He's already emailed me something. He's very interested. So there. All right. I'm going to see if Roger Stone comes over here. We can chit chat. I don't even know. Do you guys have any questions for Roger Stone? Also, when he gets here, if he gets here, don't put anything weird in the chat. Be on your best behavior. Did you talk already? Do you have a minute?
Yeah, then I got to run down
and
introduce the next speaker.
Hi. This is my media room buddy here, where our tables are like a couple away from each other. Introduce yourself. What do you do? Why are you here? And what brings you to the convention?
My name, Robert Scott Bell, and I'm here to MC the event, to speak at the event, to moderate the event, do anything Ty and Charlene need me to do. So I'm running around like crazy, on top of doing my own show, broadcasting and interviewing, just as you are.
Whoa, that's a lot.
Much prettier than my show, I have to say.
Stop. Yeah. Stop it.
It's truth.
So you're a busy boy. So talk about your show.
All right, 2 hours a day, 6 days a week, bringing the power to heal back where it belongs with each and every one of you.
Ooh.
Right? That's where we really get healing from. And I was told much of my young life that it was only found in a pharmaceutical drug. I was 0 to 19, and then to 24, yeah. So I had all the old age diseases. I got them out of the way first.
Really?
I didn't know it at the time. I
Wow.
look back now, I did. But,
What did you have?
gastrointestinal disorders, multiple inflammatory conditions of the skeletal system, tendinitis, chronic ear infections, sinus infections, throat infections, stomach infections.
Damn.
That's only the beginning of some of the things I had to deal with. So I was on meds all the time. I had allergy injections for 10 years.
Whoa.
Yeah. So I was, probably put a bunch of doctors through, or the kids through college.
Kept them going. Yeah.
And my dad was a pharmaceutical guy. My uncle was a doctor. And funny enough, my Uncle Bob, the doctor, said, don't be a doctor, because he knew I wanted to grow up to be a doctor. And he said, don't be a doctor, you'll be miserable. I said, Uncle Bob, you're a doctor. What do you mean don't be a doctor? I'm your nephew.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't understand what he meant until I was 19 years age. And at the doctor's point blank, will I ever be well? And they said, we don't even know why you're sick.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, you guys went to med school and that's what you got? No, that's not what we got.
You guys have special license plates and you still don't know what's wrong with me?
So I was
you
about
have your
to
own
leave.
Parking spots?
I was going to leave. And they said, wait, there's hope. There's good news. And I'm thinking, you mean I have to threaten to leave? Then you're going to tell me?
What's the first thing that gave you hope?
Right. And so their message to me at that moment was, maybe one day you'll grow out of it.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, that was second year med school. So that was enough for me. I left and I knew I was not going to come back unless I had a broken bone. And I could said it. If I was a woman, I learned later, they would say, just go get pregnant. It'll go away. I don't know if you ever heard that from a doctor.
Really?
Yeah, no, women that have like menstrual things, just get pregnant, it'll go away. It's like insane.
Is there truth to that?
Yeah, no, you'll find out. Talk to women, ask them that question. Has a doctor ever said, just go get pregnant, it'll go away? Especially when it comes to female-specific issues, menstrual difficulties.
Wow, because I know that a lot of women have issues. Like I'm not on birth control, but I know women who are like on birth control. It's like it tricks your body in a way to like thinking you're always pregnant, and then things like come about because of that.
Yeah, but it's a cop-out statement because it doesn't address the real reason why you may have endocrine problems. So anyway, I became a homeopathic doctor. I've had my show since 1999 on broadcast radio, and now, of course, like you're doing, again, much prettier, I have to say, than what I do. But somehow we get by, and here we are bringing the power to heal back where it belongs. That's why the truth about cancer is so awesome, because people can come in and listen to doctors, not just homeopaths like me, but medical doctors, PhD researchers that have come to a conclusion similar to me that there's a limit to what modern medicine can do. And unfortunately, we say they can do anything and everything, and they're the third leading cause of death.
Wow.
That's not funny.
Yeah.
That's serious. And that's in the peer-reviewed medical literature. It's not even arguable. So I want people to live. I want people to have freedom to choose, right? I'm not into banning things, but if you find out, like I found out, what they did to me is not working for you either, should you not have the freedom to choose another form of healing? And our culture is set up to only adopt like this cult, this religion of medicine.
Oh yeah, and the way it's shaped up to be is like, oh, this is the elite, best, most intelligent people who go to the best schools, best degrees, and like they're almost like it's culturally these people are better than you. You have to listen to them. If you do your own, they've even like made the term "do your own research" like stigmatized. They've literally associated that with like crazy people and conspiracy theorists. Like they literally don't want you thinking for yourself.
It's amazing. Yeah, so you recognize what it is, and that's again why we're here. A lot of people are waking up, and this forced jab mandate stuff, that's waking up more people than ever to the danger of vaccinations at large, including this one. But people never had questions about it, except a small percentage of us. Now it's a large percentage of us. So I think they're losing because they're pushing too hard.
Yeah, and they're like, why are you pushing this thing so hard that most of us are surviving from? Like, no big deal. And like, most people are like, in my whole life, I've never, most people have gotten by, like not having to get the flu shot. So like, what is so different this time? You know? Yeah.
So I'm happy to, like I said, bring the power to heal back where it belongs. It's not mine to give you. It's from, I believe, from God, but however you perceive that to be, there's a life and we're working with it, or we can block it. And I don't feel like blocking it's the right thing. Although the blocking concept coming from them is to block our freedom to choose either their way or our way or any other way.
Enslavement. Yeah.
That's wrong. That's where you draw the line on. You can have a belief. You can have a favorite medicine. That's fine. I might disagree with it, but as long as you don't force me to do what I don't want to do, I won't force you to do what you don't want to do.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult.
It's not that difficult. Yeah. And I just don't know why it's become so popular to like obsess over like what other people do. It's like, it's born out of insecurity. It's like, well, why do you, if you're protecting yourself and keeping yourself healthy, like what does it matter what the person next to you is doing?
Sheeple, authoritarianism. We want to be told what to do. And then therefore we want to tell you what to do. I know it's a disappointing place to be, but we're learning who our new family is. These are the people that believe in choice. We could disagree and we could support one another, still love one another, and respect one another, even if we disagree. That's part of life. That's always going to be part of life.
Right.
But we don't have to use the power of government to, eliminate a choice that other people want to make. We can try to persuade them intellectually, whatever, engage in them, but to do it by force, use violence, threaten of loss of liberty, loss of your home, your income,
loss of your job,
that to me is criminal. So I got to go introduce the next speaker, but
Okay.
I'd love to talk with you some more.
Yeah, I'll
You're a
be
bright
here.
light here.
You know
We're
where to find
enjoying
me.
it.
Yeah, like it's fun.
Well, hello everybody. Thanks. Come on over to robertscottbell.com anytime. You'll have a good time. Maybe we'll get you on too.
Robert Scott Bell. Okay, I'm gonna put your details.
Yeah, robertscottbell.com, and we'll be back. Connect again.
Yeah.
Have some more fun.
We'll probably do another one of these with you on.
Yeah, you got me on a rant. I'll just listen to you.
I love a rant.
Back.
Yeah. Thanks for coming by.
Good to see you. Thanks. See you guys.
He's literally the next table over. We become friends. We're doing shots of silver together. Like what? It's like silver dissolved in water. It's real good for you. I feel good. I'm getting a lot of free supplements, free vitamins. All right. Look, I'm gonna flip the camera around so you guys can see Roger Stone. Look, it's the Christians. The Christians are slacking off. They're not here. Where'd they go? I don't know. That's Brighteon and I Am TV, which is also Dr. Alan Ray's. That's his channel or whatever. And that's more Christians. Kristin Davis, who we saw earlier, and that's Roger Stone and some guy doing an interview. That's Kara Castronova over there, standing over there. We're BFFs now. Good times. All right. This is turning into like an ASMR thing. Anybody else interesting? All right, please come over here, Roger. Please. Again, guys, if he comes over here, behave. Please behave. Everyone's hitting him up. I get it. He's famous. That's what happens when you're famous. Everybody wants a piece. Everybody wants a piece of you. All right. Do you guys have comments or questions for him? My heart's beating so fast. He might come over here. I'm feeling great after COVID. I feel great. It's good. Roger, go over here. Hello. How are you?
How did those pictures go over?
Great. They came over. You're so photogenic. I really admire, it's exhausting going to a convention like this.
It is.
You're getting stopped constantly. Just last night when we were walking, just a short distance to the meet and mingle, how do you deal with it? You must just have boundless energy, and these fans are very genuine of yours that are coming up to you.
Well, as a general rule, I never say no.
Yeah.
When people ask me for an autograph, for a selfie or a picture, I never say no, because if you do say no, then those folks go back to Ohio or Pennsylvania and they say, "We meant that, Roger Stone. What an a-hole he was. He wouldn't give us a pic." So, I think the patriots in this movement are important. You never know how many of them are people who contributed to my legal defense fund when I was struggling for my life, or have sent a contribution to my family support fund to support my wife in her struggle with stage 4 cancer. So I get energy from the people. I kind of thrive on it. And let's face it, I'm a little bit of a ham, so I don't mind posing for pictures.
Yeah, definitely. Somebody in the chat was actually asking, and I know we may have talked about this. We did an episode together months ago, and we were talking about pizza. That was my favorite moment of the podcast for sure. Somebody was asking about, I guess when the FBI came to your house, how that went down.
Yes.
Do you still get asked about that a lot?
Well, we had to move out of that house, firstly because we could no longer afford it, but secondly, between the tour buses pulling up to the front yard. This is the home of Roger Stone, the notorious criminal. And then there were the tour boats pouring up on the canal. So it became kind of a local tourist attraction. I would be out there in a bathing suit, waving to people. It really got to be intrusive. I also could no longer afford to live there, having to give up most of my assets to pay my lawyers. But no, the whole thing is somewhat ridiculous. 29 heavily armed, SWAT-clad, night goggle-wearing FBI agents show up in 17 armored vehicles with a helicopter and 2 amphibious units pull up to the canal behind my house. Frogmen jump out and they're all brandishing M4 fully automatic assault weapons to take a 68-year-old man who doesn't own a gun, doesn't have a valid passport, and candidly can't swim, into custody for the first time nonviolent crime of lying to Congress. And of course, CNN is allowed to exclusively set up a camera tripod 25 feet from my front door. So we now know that a CNN reporter, I was arrested at 6:06. At 6:11, a CNN reporter sent a copy of my still sealed indictment to my lawyer. It had no court markings on it, but it did have the metadata initials of the man who wrote it, Andrew Weissman. Now, CNN's claim that they got that document off of the internet is an easily disprovable lie by using the Wayback Machine. The leaking of an arrest or search warrant is a felony. When will Mueller and his thugs be prosecuted?
Very good question. Someone in the chat has wanted to know if you could speak a little bit more about the FBI process. I don't know exactly what that means, or maybe what your process was like dealing with the FBI, but I think you kind of mentioned it a little bit. Roger Stone, thank you for being a real patriot, sir. Thank you, James. Roger Stone's crime was that he helped Trump get elected.
That's very true.
Yeah. Who needs the rock when we have the stone?
That's nice. God bless you.
Roger, how was the media there when you were raised?
Say it again.
He's saying, Roger, how was the media?
Rated.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you were raised.
Well, it's interesting that the media was kept behind a roped-off barrier about a half mile away from my house because I lived on a one-way street. Only CNN was allowed to film it. I now have an affidavit from a retired Fort Lauderdale police officer who said when he told the CNN crew they had to go behind the rope with the other reporters, he was chewed out by an FBI agent who told him they had special permission to film the arrest. It's bad enough that they filmed my arrest. I was wearing a Roger Stone Did Nothing Wrong t-shirt. Yes, I did know they were coming. But my wife woke up because she's hard of hearing, looking down the barrel of two rifles. She didn't know if it was a home invasion. She didn't know what it was. She knew I wasn't there. But perp walking her out in the street in her bare feet to be humiliated for the CNN cameras, that shows the epic evil of Robert Mueller and the entire political nature. By the way, I thought this was a strategic mistake by the government. I raised $2.5 million in the next couple of days from my legal defense fund. And I'm not a particularly sympathetic figure, but I think even Americans who are not political realize that my rights were being violated. And this was completely over the top and unnecessary. Normally, in a white-collar case like this, they notify your lawyer you're going to be charged, and you voluntarily turn yourself up. The punchline, the whole thing cost the government and the taxpayers $1.1 million. Wow. How many people could he be fed for that?
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, and I agree. It's totally unnecessary to treat your wife like that.
By the way, this is some of the best whiskey you're
There's
ever
whiskey here?
No, it's iced
Oh. I was like, there's not a lot of booze at this thing. There was no alcohol at the meet and greet last night. That's fine, though. Okay, Roger, what is your best advice to a Canadian who wants to be American but can't cross the border without ID because he's not Latino?
I think that there's going to be a great resurgence of the movement in Canada. Derek Sloan has announced his intention to form a new Conservative Party, one that's actually conservative. The Conservative Party of Canada is not conservative, it's globalist. There's a small break-off Conservative Party, but it's not democratic and it's not pro-life. So I think a broader, more conservative party under the leadership of former Member of Parliament Derek Sloan is coming, and I'm very excited about it.
Wow. Yeah, that's very exciting. A question here from Reggie. Hi, Roger. Do you think that President Nixon foresaw the left's long march through our institutions going as far as it has?
No, in fact, I think when President Nixon, for example, recognized China had more oxen than it did cars. It was a backwards agrarian country. He recognized them because he also recognized the tension between Russia and China, and he realized that we could play them off against each other and get a strategic arms limitation agreement from the Soviets. It was brilliant statesmanship that probably saved the American people hundreds of millions of dollars in defense spending. Richard Nixon had no way of knowing that the Bushes were going to give the Chinese most favored nation trading status, which is really what allowed them to pull ahead of us in many ways economically. I don't think Nixon would have done that because he was a patriot.
Right. So when do you think this whole process began of China sort of, I don't know.
I think
taking
I think
over?
it begins under Bush. Bush Sr. had been posted in China. They make huge gains in America under George W. Bush. It continues with the Clintons. And of course, I believe the payments to Hunter Biden have a lot to do with the Biden administration's continued insistence that the Chinese are not a problem. It's the Russians who are a problem. No, I think the Chinese are our number one enemy in the world. I have no truck for the Russians. They're also authoritarian. Pardon me. Putin is a killer, but at least we have in common the fight with Islamic terrorism. The Chinese manipulate our currency. They steal our patents. They're now harassing our ships in the South China Sea. That would never have happened under Donald Trump. So I think that they're on the march.
Have you been keeping up with Trump much? Like,
he's lost 25 pounds. He looks great.
wow.
Yeah, he looks terrific. Looks to me like a man who may be running again.
Okay. Wow. Interesting. And what brings you here to this conference this weekend?
I'm a supporter of health freedom. I just think every individual needs to make their own choice, whether it's the treatment of cancer, whether it's the treatment of COVID-19. The idea that the government will mandate what you must do, I find that repugnant. So I'm here because I'm for a health choice. This is an issue that now means a lot more to me that my wife has cancer. And frankly, Ty and Charlene Bollinger's website has been a fountain of information for somebody who has cancer and does not want to go the conventional route of chemotherapy and radiation. I recommend it to anyone who has cancer. I think the information there will save my wife's life.
Yeah, and they really, the powers that be want you to feel like that's the only option, and they kind of bully you and scare you into going the conventional route. Question from Michael: what is Mr. Stone's plans to help us put those thugs in their place, or is that classified for now?
I would urge you to go to RogerStonesPlanToSaveAmerica.com. RogerStonesPlanToSaveAmerica.com. I have a 4-part plan there to save the country. It's a political and constitutional plan. Take a look at it, but it involves mass communications, an ability to use the internet where we cannot be deplatformed, galvanizing people behind laws to reform our election process, cleaning house in the GOP to get rid of the gutless, feckless, spineless country club, white wine swilling, rhino
Chardonnay,
Republican.
probably,
right, probably.
which is the worst kind.
Who are in politics to line their pockets and the pockets of their friends.
Absolutely. Thoughts on Australia's response to COVID?
It's amazing because I think what we see in Australia is a precursor of what the left would like to do here, and the Australian people seem to be reacting quite negatively.
Yeah, they definitely suppress a lot of the lashing out and the protesting. Question from Roger: why wasn't CNN at the Sussman arrest?
Isn't it ironic that they were tipped off to Paul Manafort's address, they were tipped off to my arrest, but they were not tipped off to Sussman's arrest? Mr. Durham has a roadmap in that indictment, whether anybody else will be indicted. There was a lot of laughing when it appeared that I was going to prison. Hillary Clinton supporters say, lock him up, ha, ha, ha. Well, guess what? I'm free, and that trail leads right to her. She's not out of the woods yet.
Yeah.
Prison will be good for her.
Oh, that would be great. I think she would look good in orange. Roger Stone is a goddamn G. Thank you for the super chat. From Jeff. Roger, if you had to assign 3 books as required reading to really capture your views, what would you recommend?
The first one would be David Ogilvy's book, The Confessions of an Advertising Man. This will tell you everything you need to know about mass communications. It's a very readable book. It was written in 1963, but the lessons there are applicable if you just bring them forward. So if you know how to design a poster, you know how to design the splash page of a website. Secondarily is Stone's Rules, my own book. This is everything I have learned in 40 years in the public arena. There's advice there on politics and strategy, but there's also advice on food, clothing, health, fitness, and style. The third one would be the Bible. I never realized until I returned to the church and redeemed myself and confessed my sins how practical a book the Bible is. any problem you have, there's solid advice in the Bible. If you get a guide, and there are many well-written guides that can kind of explain it to you. You got to go to the right places. It may be in Proverbs, it may be in Psalms, but everything you need to know to live in a free society and protect yourself and walk in God's way is in that book. So I think those are the 3 greatest books I would recommend.
It's really amazing. Like I spent my whole 20s just like one self-help book after another, and it really the Bible is such a great resource, and it's kind of just it's been there all along. Roger, how bad do you think the supply chain crisis can get?
Well, I think it's manipulated. I don't think we have a supply chain crisis. Where was it under President Trump? I don't recall the supply.
No, it was
so
fine.
I think that this is manipulation, or it is a manifestation of the fact that the Biden administration will pay the average American more money to sit home on their derriere than to go out and get an honest job. So I don't think there are people to unload these ships. But I think this is a manipulated crisis, frankly. And inflation is not transitory. It's here to stay because of the spending and taxing policies of these Democrats.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Somebody wanted to know, what were your thoughts on Taiwan and Hong Kong?
Well, Hong Kong is a perfect example of why the Chinese communists cannot be trusted. They promised autonomy. There is no autonomy. And Taiwan was our ally, and we need to continue to support their freedom and guarantee against their invasion. It was unrealistic to keep a nation of those many millions of people in the cold. But as I said earlier, when Nixon recognized China and brought them in out of the cold to the League of Nations, as it were, he could never have foreseen the way that we would give them the resources to become our strongest enemy. But that is exactly through the most favored nation trading status we have done. Now add to that the online theft of our technology, the manipulation of our currency. These are some bad dudes.
Yeah. Do you have hope for the future? Like, obviously, with everything going on, medical tyranny, censorship, is there anything that
I'm completely optimistic. You know why? Because I believe the Bible. And the Bible tells us that good triumphs in the end. So all we don't know is his plan. You want to make God laugh? Tell him you have plans. He has a plan. Our job is to follow his plan if we're good Christians. But I believe that good will triumph over evil. And I do think this administration is evil. This is not like 1960 when between John Kennedy and Richard Nixon, you just had 2 different parties with slightly different governing philosophies. If they were both anti-communist, they both loved America, they were both patriotic. The people running the Democratic Party today hate America. They hate the capitalist system. They hate our Constitution. There are 3 drafts that they would like to replace our Constitution with.
Wow.
It is outrageous to think that the party of John Kennedy and Harry Truman just no longer exists.
Yeah, it blows my mind that a parent showing up to a school board meeting could be declared a domestic terrorist simply for having concerns.
Well, there's a purpose for that, because under the law, if they can declare you a domestic terrorist, now they don't need a warrant from a judge to arrest you. They can try you in secret. They can incarcerate you in secret. They can even execute you in secret. They can look at your emails, your voice messages, your text messages, and they don't need the approval of a judge. A lot of Republicans voted for this in the Patriot Act. God bless Senator Rand Paul for having the courage to say no.
He has been so strong and really a real beacon of hope throughout the last, definitely for years. But I think for a lot of people in the last year and a half, he's just been so strong and such a voice for freedom, really.
Well, before Donald Trump came along, when the party nominated Mitt Romney, I left the party of Goldwater and Reagan. I'd been young Republican national chairman, but Mitt Romney was such an obvious fraud and not a conservative that I briefly joined the Libertarian Party. When Donald Trump came back and staged the hostile takeover of the GOP, I rejoined the party of Goldwater, the party of Lincoln. But interestingly enough, the last vote I cast in a Republican presidential primary before switching to the Libertarian Party was for Congressman Ron Paul.
Wow.
A great man.
A great man. Really amazing. Wow. A lot of fans in the chat. Where can we find these 3 drafts for a new constitution? Well, I bet they're probably not out.
I read a terrific article on this yesterday. I can't remember, in all honesty, where I saw it. But there's a Soros-backed group that has drafted one. The American Communist Party has drafted one. There's a third one that was funded by the Ford and Rockefeller foundations. You know what? I like the Constitution we have now, and I don't think it needs to be changed.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if you want to touch on this at all. Roger, is Q a psyop?
Well, let me just answer your question with a question. Why was Q never banned on Twitter or Facebook until after the election?
Interesting. Yeah.
I think I have a lot of good friends who follow Q and who like it. I think there are a lot of patriots who are well motivated. I myself am a bit suspicious based on their lack of internet censorship.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like with every group. It's like you want to be cautious and skeptical of everything. Kennedy was killed by those in charge. Now, though, consumers care less, and everyone's duped.
Well, I think this what made reference today is that Joe Biden decided that the last tranche of classified documents regarding the Kennedy assassination will not be released to the public because of COVID-19.
Right, it's supposed to come out today tomorrow.
Because of COVID-19. That doesn't make any sense. The CIA objects to the release of these documents because they say it will reveal their assets and sources. Well, there are no assets still alive. This happened 60 years ago. And we need to know their methods because their methods are illegal.
What do you think releasing these documents, what do you think would be the lasting effects or the ripple effects of that?
Well, we learned a lot in the last tranche. We learned that Nikita Khrushchev ordered Russian intelligence to conduct their own investigation, and they concluded that Lyndon Johnson was leading the plot to kill Kennedy.
Wow.
There's a declassified memo between FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover to President Johnson telling him that that's what the Russians had concluded. Now, of course, was classified for 40 years, 50 years.
Any chance that you think this could be declassified or these documents could come out at a later date, or it would take someone like a Trump or somebody else coming through? And
I don't think under the current administration you're going to get any more information. But what's interesting is even today, the Gallup poll shows us that 71% of Americans do not believe Lee Harvey Oswald shot Kennedy or do not believe that he acted alone. So despite the constant garbage being put forward by CNN and CBS and ABC that support the Warren Commission narrative, which, by the way, was completely contradicted by the House Special Select Committee on Assassinations in the 70s, I think Americans can see the truth. That is, in many ways, Jack Kennedy was fighting the deep state. He had the opposition of the military, the intelligence agencies, the banks, because he supported a gold or silver-backed dollar. He was violently opposed by the oil industry because he was trying to repeal the oil depletion allowance. So I think he ran afoul of the same people that Donald Trump did.
Do you think, this is an interesting question, do you think that when the police are gone, that the Army or the National Guard will take over?
Well, that's an interesting question. I don't think our military is strong enough. Were there to be hypothetically a national insurrection, and I'm not advocating one, but if there were to be one, they would have to utilize the state National Guards. Will Floridians really fire on their own neighbors?
No.
I think not. I think not. And that is a problem. We've seen an effort by the Biden administration to take away our guns. I'm a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. But now they're trying to outlaw certain kinds of ammunition because they cannot get our guns.
Very, very sneaky. I like this question too. Roger, how does the everyday man make a difference?
Well, first of all, you are still a fountain of information on the internet. They can't censor all of us. They may have censored me, but they can't censor all of us. So if you see a link, you see a story, you see a video that you think is compelling, go to your list of contacts and get it out and ask them to get it out. Neighbor to neighbor is the way to do this.
Okay, now you have to run. One more. Roger, where states will never fall for this nonsense and stand with the American people, where should I move and live? I am disabled, but I have a strong mind and will not comply.
This is obvious. Florida. Florida will be the last stand. We have a great governor, Ron DeSantis, who's doing a great job, who's taking on the rabid left like no other governor in America. I used to think Texas would be the last stand. I no longer believe that. So South Florida, as they used to say, come on down.
Ooh, okay. Roger, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great.
God bless you.
I know you're a busy man.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
the time.
Yep.
Good to see you again.
Great to be here.
Thank you, chat. Everyone's so excited to see you. Ooh, can Trump win again? I think so. I want to be optimistic about that.
He can definitely win again. I think he's our strongest candidate. I think I don't know whether he will run again, but I think he must run again.
Yeah. Do you feel like a large percentage of the population became sort of, I don't know, disillusioned or disappointed with how Trump sort of finished out his term, or maybe what he didn't do or who he didn't pardon towards the end?
I think every president makes some mistakes, but I think by and large, Trump supporters are very intense and still with him.
Yeah. And there's a big presence certainly here at independent kind of like conventions like this, and it's exciting to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Great
you.
to see you again.
Great to see you.